welcome. This is Data Archives. Welcome back to When We Cry. This is going to be our second episode of an ongoing Ciconia reading club, I guess. This is Mushroom recovering or getting better from a long sickness. That is also why we didn't have a episode posted last week, I guess. I don't know when this is going to come out, so maybe this last week will be in like 2 months ago at this point, but yeah, I'm super sorry. I got really sick and wasn't able to get the work I need to get done, but hopefully I will be able to all bang it out this weekend. But yeah, let's introduce each other and all the other hosts on here.
Hello, I'm Bess, and I am still gonna record this episode in my oxygen-deprived makeshift recording tent. So if I get any...
Des is gonna
You're gonna have to excuse any shit takes I throw out, because I'm just not gonna be thinking straight.
I think that's so scary. Like, you sound so like the vibes are bad. I think your scary pillow prison is killing your vibes.
Don't worry, they're gonna revive during this episode.
I'm sorry if I die on the podcast.
Yeah, that's how dedicated Des is. He's willing to die for us. He's willing to risk his life.
Imagine the views that would give us. Dying on recording? Like, goddamn. This is a sacrifice for Phase 2 to be released. You don't understand.
Guy dies in recording for shitty visual novel podcast? Hello, I am the great and powerful Horsecam.
And I am Jensen, and I am also kind of fucking sick
Yo,
today.
the sick episode.
Yes, since we have around 4 people here today, let's talk about what have been happening to you people since the last time I talked to you.
Basically nothing. I've just been caught up with school, and it's not interesting. So who's next? Who has something interesting to talk about?
I mean, Des, what did you... Well, actually, I don't know if you celebrate Halloween. Last week was Halloween for us. That's why we didn't have a recording last week. It does date this recording, but it was Halloween. Des, you do have something. I have something to say about what you did, like, the time we last recorded. You said something that I thought was really stupid. The fact that you said that Phase 2 could possibly come out while we record this series.
Yes.
And everyone just laughed at you.
Yes. It will happen. It will happen in December. You just wait. Yes.
Okay.
No.
I mean, one can dream, right?
I'm not dreaming. I am crossing my fingers for it not to come as we record this. Anyway, just tell us about your Halloween.
I didn't do anything Halloween-y on Halloween. I was just playing fighting games with my friends. Oh yeah, I've been trying to get into some fighting games recently. I just got a cheap Mayflash F300 fight stick, and I don't really know how to use it very well, but it's fun.
How did you get a fight stick? What?
Yeah, I just got a arcade fight stick for myself. When I try, or just Street Fighter and Guilty Gear, and I also got Golden Fantasia on the most recent Halloween sale. So, would you guys be interested in doing like a Golden Fantasia?
I think that would be interesting.
That would be fun.
I think we have enough people who have it.
Yeah, I also have it as well.
You're the only one that doesn't have it in this podcast. Now I think about
well,
it.
I don't legally have it.
Oh, true.
Well, you can't really, like, do it online.
Yeah, okay, this is a funny story. I actually have 2 copies of Golden Fantasia as well. And the thing is, I actually had my copy since, like, my old copy was, like, from 2014. And the only reason I bought, like, used human money to buy the one on Steam is because I thought it would have a better net play.
And it didn't. I know. You have talked about this on the Valentine's episode. Like, how are we gonna do a tournament if the fucking Golden Fantasia versus thing is so wacky?
It's your kind of
It doesn't really matter. It's more for fun and really checking out the game.
Let's see something out. It will be interesting.
I mean, we have almost 8 people who would be willing to do it.
Oh yeah, I did play some of Golden Fantasia with Kirby and Sayome, and for some reason, Sayome just consistently beat the fuck out of both of us despite not knowing anything about fighting games.
Yeah, that's how fighting games work. You just button mash.
No, that's not how it works.
That's why Smash is the only good fighting game.
Okay, this is...
Des, what the fuck are you talking about?
I love recording in this episode because I can just excuse any take I have with oxygen deprivement.
Fuck you.
But
Oxygen deprived people be like, Smash is a good fighting game.
At least you should have said Skullgirl, so then you would have seen a way cooler person than you are.
Yeah, this goes to my theory that I think Sayome is a true gamer. She's probably the best gamer out of all of
super
us.
genius
Every
Sayome?
game I played with her, like, she fucking beats the crap out of us.
Really?
That's true.
That's funny.
True.
Also, when Sora got revealed in Smash, one of my friends just got really fucking upset with him and just started writing really long messages in the group chat about Disney and capitalism trying to get into Smash. And I was like, what the fuck? And like, just out of spite of him constantly talking about Kingdom Hearts being worthless, I decided to get into Kingdom Hearts myself.
Oh god.
Just to trigger him, and I've been liking Kingdom Hearts 1. It's kind of clunky, but it's a very interesting example of surrealism in storytelling.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1's my favorite Kingdom Hearts game. How far are you in Kingdom Hearts?
I got to Agrabah.
Oh, okay. You're about halfway.
Well,
Yeesh.
Mushroom, salvage this in the Halloween introduction and tell us you did something Halloween themed for your Halloween.
Okay, so there's a few things. It was actually, my roommate's birthday is actually a day before Halloween, so we were gonna do hot pot and give out candy, but because everybody was really busy with school, we did end up giving out candy to, like, kids on our street, because we are a trick-or-treating street. And then, we also watched the movie, it's called Halloween Towns. It's like this old, like, Disney original, like, yeah, Halloween Towns.
Yeah, I see it.
We watched it because one of our roommate never seen it, and we were like, what? That's a classic. And it was a banger. It was, like, it's like a really stupid, like, Disney original movie, but it was really good. Okay, so the one more thing I want to say before we start Ciconia is that I finally was able to beat Disco Elysium, and it's good. It's a very, very good game. I don't know if you know anything about it, but if you knew, I feel like a lot of people know it because it's very famously the acceptance speech. The person says, like, thank you for Marx and Engels for giving us the education. And if you like Ciconia and you like politics and you just want to read, like, a game that's basically just a visual novel, but, like, with, like, basically like a Fallout 1 and 2, it is incredibly good. That's my last recommendation before we start. And are we ready? So where we left off was that we finally were at the party, and we were able to basically meet, like, gajillion people with, like, lots of names, and now we are gonna say all those names again, but because we don't have Sayome, we might fuck it up even more.
Yay!
Nice. Woo.
Especially the one German one that I just can't pronounce.
It's not that hard.
Then you can pronounce
It's not
it,
that
okay?
hard. Yes, you'll be in the middle of your argument and you just, like, snap your fingers and I'll say the word for you.
Yeah, I'll mentally point to you.
Oh yeah, tell me on your Kizuna.
Okay, so, and also we learned that there's a jestress with 3 kings, and they are sitting in their Illuminati room, and they're plotting something. Anyway, so let's start. It starts at chapter 3. It's a rap, public bath. I actually really like this because I always think that it's a rap, public bath. It's a good cadence. It has, like, really good, like, it rhymes, kinda, but not really.
It has flow to it.
Yes, it has good flow. So it starts with, like, Miyao, Jaden, like, talking about, like, what kind of visual room should they, like, give to the gauntlets, and this is where, like, a lot of subtle history of the world is told. Like, they're like, oh, like, should we pick, like, basically old Tokyo, like Kyoto. Like, Kyoto is really pretty. It used to be a really good tourist spot. And they were like, no, let's not pick Kyoto. Like, that's a really big political statement. Like, you know what happened in Kyoto. Oh, the easiest thing, let's just use, like, a hotel public bath without, like, even, like, thinking about how weird it is to invite a bunch of people to a public bath.
Yeah.
It's not weird, like, in Japan, that's not weird.
In Japan.
Which they are inviting a bunch of, like, foreign people. Like, that, like, to them, they're like, it's like a totally normal hangout spot.
It's like if I invited all of you to my class WhatsApp group and then we all just started sending WhatsApp stickers of mutilated dicks and I expected you to think that was normal.
Okay.
I mean, you already told us about that and I don't think that is normal. Even for you. I think your classmates are just messed up.
No, it's not just my classmates. Everyone does that. It's just a normal, human interaction thing to do in WhatsApp groups.
Normal Portuguese man saying normal Portuguese words.
I just had a random thought. What if the reason there isn't a Portuguese gauntlet night is because they got banned out of because they kept sending mutilated penises to the group chat?
Yeah.
This is a sound theory.
It's just Des crying outside the public bath, like from the window of the public bath. It's like, guys, I'm sorry. I thought it was a normal thing.
I can see that happening.
Japan is like the original Japan is kind of split into two. In the middle, it is Kyoto, where Kyoto used to be, is now a glass sea, and that's why Japan, like, there's another part of Japan that's a part of the COU instead of the AOU, and that is very fascinating. Like, I feel like in a lot of like stories like this, Japan is also always the one who's getting split, like in a Germany way. So I find that very fascinating.
Yeah, it's just Japan's obsession with German shit. But I really like the Glass Sea talk. Like, it's so rich. It's like really interesting that this, like, they talk about how the search for knowledge about what happened in the war, and that how usually we try to learn from our past history's past mistakes so that war doesn't happen again. But then in this setting, it was precisely the search for knowledge that started sprouting the seeds of war again. And so the world collectively decided that it was just better to forget, even though that kind of just invalidates the pain everyone in that area went through when they were getting kind of like vaporized and shit. Well, then let me just tell you some of my thoughts that from the conversation that's happened before the Glass Sea talk. So it's not that many. It's just like, for example, Jaden saying, I mean, you can totally use a naked mod to Gunhild when she was like, oh, this is kind of weird. It's just like the way that line was delivered, and then the way that Gunhild just keeps the conversation going, just ignoring what Jaden just said. It's like so fucking cringe. It's just Jaden trying to be smooth, and then they're just like, I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
I honestly, it's really funny to me because when I first read Ciconia, I actually didn't realize Gunhild is even Meow and Jaden's player part of the group, because because the reason why I didn't realize that is because I feel like they were just so not close.
Oh.
I thought Gunhild was a part of the other, like the Grave Mold or something.
Grave Mold?
She just has like a complete like detached air about her that I thought was like kind of fascinating, that I only realized that she was a part of their group when, like, really, really later on when they went to the cafe together.
She is more mature than the two of them. And then the only other thought I had was that people start getting into like, it's a rap public lust. She just says, oh, that must mean you use the word lust a lot, to Chloe. And I just thought that was a nice play on Ryukishi's part. And examples of this just keep popping up throughout the story, to where to develop these bits of world building concepts, he just makes approximations to things that happen to us in our world, which is that, like, when you're writing on your smartphone, suggested words pop up, like based on what you use the most. And I just thought that was a nice thing that he added.
Yeah, and I think like there's another concept that was introduced later when they're talking to Naima about something, and it says that Naima's like conversation that she hears are like super censored because everybody's older than her, and they keep saying these words, and she doesn't get to hear half of them because they're all censored for her.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you know what's a crazy? It's not crazy, but just an interesting thought that I had. What if the reason Lilia keeps saying meow all the time, it's just that's like her personalized sound for censored words, because she just keeps swearing all the time?
Maybe, but yes, but they still swear. Finally, after they debate about like the whole concept about what's gonna be the public bath and how the Glass Sea basically divided Japan, Bai Bao Squad is the first one to show up, and basically Momotake, as the other Japanese person, is basically, yes, this is indecent. It is so obscene for you guys to celebrate, and un-Japanese of you to celebrate in a public bath. And then meanwhile, Aisha's like, oh, you like Lingji, you should like totally change into a nude mod. And then Momotake just like literally melts in embarrassment. But yes, why is the cat meowing? Okay, sorry, let her out so then she could claw her way back in later.
The cat is swearing.
So this is where, like, this is the part where you get to read small character interactions. I think this is very weird when you first read it because you just read it by like group by group by group and you get to read a little about their character dynamic. But like, it's not that bad. You get it established. So now you know, like, there is like basically a there's basically Lingji, who's like a very competent like person, but like Momotake, who's like basically like yes, like honor and like undignified, like all of that like weird Japanese old like
the samurai shit,
Bushido, samurai shit, like the Bushido stereotype, but like also just like has a massive embarrassing crush on
Lingji. Yes, Jaden if he was Japanese.
and then actually I think he's like less like, he's just like more horny brain, but like just like, but also more embarrassing, like it's kind of like that. And I think how like Aisha's just like I like just constant teasing of older sister.
Yeah.
And then you meet Sarpana. Andre also mentioned that he's from Madagascar and he would have normally been with the ACR, but he ended up being like in the COU, which I think is an interesting weird detail.
It's funny because then Retabu is just like, let's not discuss the quarrel over the Madagascar channel or whatever she says, the Mozambique channel. It's just she being like, yeah, let's not talk about that. We don't talk about what happened there.
Yeah, like it's just such a weird, like awkward little thing, and they're like, well, no.
Yeah.
Table that. And then everybody's like, oh, Retavio is like a royal princess, and they're like, wow, so cool. And then you get to meet like the completely useless Cairo squad. I still don't I really hope they have a like importance in the story, or they're just like the weirdest like trio.
Yeah, and it's so forced. Everything about their interactions is so forced. Like it's just. But I have a theory about that.
I still think it's so funny that you mentioned that they're like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, but like the old GBA ones where they had one character trait and that was it.
Yeah, but you gotta watch their supports. You gotta watch their support. That's gonna be phase 2 supports.
Yeah, but their supports would all be the same. It's just a triangle of wanting to pet the other and being repulsed by the other. It's just so fucking stupid, but I'll get into it later because I do have.
I would watch an anime about them.
I have a theory that explains why it is so forced. I hope you're looking forward to that. It's equally
because they're all imposters.
Because they're
what?
Because they're all one.
The entire
person.
team is evil.
No, I mean maybe.
Anyway. No, Jesus Christ. Okay, so.
Yeah, are they all seen? They're all three together.
No, horse skin.
Okay, so the idol group Shavits,
Yamada Shavits.
Yamada Shavits, like basically are like, oh, they're Yuri, they're so gay together, and humanity is like, so like how like them being together shows the humanist greatest and those miraculous harmony, and yeah, exactly. And then Saint Thrall like talks about how like Yamada Shavits are like in charge of the public relationships of the ABN and how they're like a pop idol nun group. And I think that's just a completely hilarious concept.
Yeah, subversion of Christianism. Woohoo! H3W is the best. I don't fucking know.
So, and then basically, and also I just like the concept that like the only reason that Middle East like band together is because they're just like, we like religious freedom of each other. Like, it's like a very hilarious concept because, you know, Middle East is ridden with like, our current Middle East is ridden with lots of conflict.
Yeah, but, and it's the same in the A3W
exactly.
It's just so fucking stupid because on the surface they're like, yes, we accept everyone, and then in actuality they're like heavy censorship everywhere. Like the ABN is so messed up.
Yeah, so well, I mean, we'll get more into it. It's very I think it's a very fascinating take on the Middle East. And then basically you meet Sleinslau. How the fuck do you pronounce his name?
Steinschlaue.
Steinstrau. Okay, Slau. Stein.
I think.
So,
I'm pretty sure.
you meet Steinschlau and the French lady
Naima.
Naomi.
No,
You
Naomi.
meet Naomi.
Yeah.
Naomi, and then you meet Naima, who's the best. Wow. And they're just bubbling exciting because they are basically like, oh, I'm so excited to finally meet you, and they like apologize about the match.
Mm-hmm.
Naima gets so excited that she just starts foaming at the mouth, and then Naomi gives her like anti-anxiety medication.
Yeah.
It's like pumping this baby full of drugs.
It is. It's just so messed up. DBN just doesn't lose an opportunity to show how messed up it is.
Lilia of the Grave Moles like shows up in a glowing, and meanwhile also just like throwing shades at Koshka the whole time. And then Chloe's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like Chloe apologized for being late because she got the name wrong, and she's like, Lilia was like, "Oh, you like looked up it's a rap public lust instead because you like is like the same in Japanese as a pun." And then basically Chloe's like, "Oh, but like my Kitsuna translation too converted it wrongly." And then Aisha's like, that doesn't sound like right. Like it's probably because you typed the word lust all the time, which is such a funny like setup for like a joke that pays off like
in the data fragments.
Yeah, data fragments. Yeah, so like so in Japanese, like bath out and lust are both pronounced as yokujo. And this joke even comes up later again when they're talking to Lingji. Like, Lingji's like, what the fuck is wrong with Japanese? Like, why did you guys not just, like, fully take the Chinese system? How did you guys mess up the languages so much?
How many languages has Ciconia been translated to yet? Just English and Japanese?
Ciconia is in Chinese.
Like, I really like the fact that there were just in-universe translation errors, but I'm wondering how that translates, how in-universe translation error jokes translate into other translations.
Probably dependent on, like, because they have to really think about the translation. That's why I'm glad that Witch Hunt actually worked really closely with 7 Expansion for the translation of Ciconia.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would have been not great if it was like a fan translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, there probably would have been some really weird choices in there that we would just be straight up missing parts of the intended plot if it was a fan translating it.
Oh yeah, we never even talked about how Witch Hunt did the translation for this, and it's their first official.
Yeah, it's so fucking interesting how this fan translation group got promoted into the official translation group.
Yeah, because they translated Umineko and Rose Gun's Days, right?
Wait,
did they translate anything else?
Did they have nothing to do with the official Higurashi translation? That was all Manga Gamer?
No, that's all Manga Gamer. It's weird to me that they didn't just shut them down. They just went, okay, we'll hire you. Because most companies would just shut them down and be like, bye.
Well, I think that's a Ryukishi decision instead of a whatever like decision that is. Because like the Steam translation end up retranslating all of Umineko even when there is a
translation
existing like the translation of
wait, I thought it was a modified version of Witch Hunt, is it not?
No, the Steam version is Manga Gamer's translation.
It's very not similar. That's why there's a huge difference between like how they translate like Loro Kinjima Gay or Loro Kinjima Suspicion.
That's Umineko Project.
Yeah, like all of that, like that's what I mean. Like all of these translations are so slightly different from each other that I just don't understand how it just never like had like a centralized version of it. I guess the centralized version is the Steam version now. So while we were talking, I was basically searching around if Ciconia had like other languages, and it seems like the languages that have been translated to is there's of course there's a Russian version by Golden Abyss. I know there's a Chinese version, there's an Italian version, and there seems to be a Brazilian Portuguese version. Sorry, Des. Oh, there's also a Korean version. Yeah, there's a Korean version. And I think there's a working on a Spanish version. But anyway, so let's continue. So now like the weird horny Yuri fake Yuri idol groups are fantasizing about like the two other dudes. Like
it's the two guys from Retabil's Cat, right? Yes, okay, yes. They start fantasizing about, quote, their two dark bodies or whatever the text says intertwining or some shit.
Which is so fucking weird.
It is.
Exactly. So yeah, and it's basically like after they said it, they're just like everybody else just looks at them like it's like that meme where like it's like all those people at a party and it's all those girls like turning around like in disgust.
The cups,
holding,
yeah.
Basically cuffs. Yeah, that's like it's like everybody else in the room looks at Shavitz and it's just like, why the fuck did you say that out loud? That was really uncomfortable. And Rethaville is like trying to prevent Naima from looking at any like naked avatar mods because they're just like, we can have naked avatar mods, and then like Naima's like, oh, what would that be?
Yeah.
So
they're children.
yeah, and then meanwhile, like Lilia and Kushka is like, oh, we'll send you some naked mods. Like, I have naked mods. We have naked mods for days.
Yeah.
So
fucking porn addicts.
and then
They seem like the kind of people.
no,
that.
it's actually no. I mean, it comes up later, but you know, like, it's actually Chloe who makes very realistic, hyper realistic porn mods, and then like Gunhild is like, yeah, I subscribe to your shit. It's pretty good.
It
It comes up later.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why Chloe has lust as her like suggestion. Like that's where the joke pays off. Like she's implied to make a highly realistic like VR porn mods. Yeah, you know, she got to hustle. It's like all those people who make like use Blender to like make like really highly beautiful animated sex scenes, and you're just like, the beautiful bounce physics on these people's boobs are so well calculated. I have nothing else but to clap, like, you know.
Yeah, I guess like. Yeah, I watch porn and clap.
No.
I'm watching this porn.
Okay.
But holy crap! These bounce physics are exquisite.
No.
Like who
Okay. I'm not.
I mean, you can just appreciate artistic talent when you see it.
Like exactly. Like I don't know if you have seen like how people animate like 2B. You could like the texture of the skin. And, like, the fabric looks so well. Like, and the way how... Okay, I will just have to send you, like a screenshot or, like, a gift. And you would be able to... And I, like, if you want me to, I would even censor out the bad bits. So that you can appreciate how good the artistry
They
is.
probably
I
just...
don't care.
Like,
Average lesbian gushing over 2B porn.
No, I'm just trying to understand. The reason I say this is because, like, I have really good friends who is in 3D which is 3D digital design. Lots of people I know use Blender. I have a really good friend who, like, actually just draws porn for money on, like, Patreon. So, like, I get to, like, read and hear a lot about how to artistically make porn better. So, like, I have a strong interest in it. I have told Des many times, if I had the talent to draw porn, I would. Like, I would do that in a heartbeat, but I'm not talented enough to do that, so... Unfortunately, I'm just here to draw boring shit, like trees and flowers and
Mushroom, when she sees a 2B porn thing, bro, the fabric though.
It's like the physics of the fabric. They're, like, I look at the hair and I'm like, I wonder how many like bones do they have in the hair to like make.
They probably just
ripped
ripped it from the game or something. Like who the fuck would spend so much time recreating it?
I mean, the game wouldn't have all of that programmed in, but like I'm pretty sure there would be like a base porn version model.
Anyway, before we get too far off the porn train, we are going to start talking about Kitsuna now.
Yeah, the Higurashi DS port.
Yo!
Okay, Gunhill basically start asking around, like, do you guys use Kizuna? To her surprise, like, everybody else used Kizuna, which is basically, like, a Japanese-made universal translation tool that's created by, like, some young kid, and basically, which has, like, basically resisted being bought up by large corporations. So very grassrooty, like no big tech kind of tech, which is pretty interesting. Yeah. And it gained, like, a really...
It's Google Translates big.
And then, basically, it got really popular, and then, like, young people just, like, use it. It's also really well-liked by people, because people could just use it to avoid paid features.
Yeah. And also to avoid, like, it's really apparent with the Kizuna's popularity, and also when the group makes their oath later on, it's like, Ciconia has all of these themes about opposing the scummy people in power and their superiority complexes, and it's just so good to read that because it's just like, man, I live on the real world and I'm tired of this shit that happens in the real world. It's good to see someone actually accomplishing something by opposing these people.
Yeah, wait. Speaking about opposing about scummy people, did you guys see how Facebook just released the meta?
Yo, yeah. The meta world? Yo, Umineko?
Yeah.
Meta.
Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg, like, looking like an NPC as much as he can possibly do. And he starts talking about how he's like, and this is the meta. We're gonna use VR headsets, and then you can travel to a room, like to your house that you know and love.
No, the clip I saw was him being like, oh, that must be Susan. I'm going to open the door. And then the tweet was just like, Mark Zuckerberg looks and sounds like a Japanese developer being translated in a Nintendo Direct. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the way how Mark Zuckerberg talks, you're just like, why do they all sound like AIs? And like, it's so funny to me.
He is one.
Basically now Facebook is now meta. That's basically what it is.
Like, you're gonna see in phase 2, Mark Zuckerberg's gonna be like living in the underground research lab near Dreisig.
So like in this world being like just a grassroots for people's benefit thing, I was having a hard time like buying that with how widespread and like surveillance-y it'd be, because like the characters would be like, hey, we're gonna oppose the government. Hey, Amazon Alexa Frog, you're part of this. Like, that's what it felt like. So, I'm kind of expecting that to become a
very big deal. Yeah, I agree too.
I wonder in Ciconia, and later in like phase 2 or 3 or 4, one of those future phases, they're gonna either have Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, or at least use a quote.
Oh my god.
In like the
oh my god, if they...
I wonder if they ever will, because it feels like it would make sense for Ryukishi to do that, and like the moment I see it, I'm gonna go yes.
A Elon Musk quote. Like, I hope it's one of his deranged tweets.
Tesla stocks are too high right now, Elon Musk.
I don't even know like an Elon Musk quote that would fit Ciconia.
or Elon Musk being like, if they come tax me, they're gonna come tax you.
What if they put in a Gabe Newell quote?
Oh man.
Oh no, it'd be funny.
Why? What Gabe Newell do? Ryukishi's gonna write a Family Guy, like just not. Ryukishi's gonna write
a Family Guy quote
Guy's
too.
Chicken. It's just a random with Jaden. Jaden's gonna be like revealed to be a big Family Guy fan. Like, yeah, it's like Jaden's gonna be like, "Oh my god, guys, have you seen the latest episode of Family Guy? Oh my god, Peter's so funny. Oh my god,
he's American."
He tries to do like a Joe impression, like, "Hey, Peter."
Yeah. Jaden invites Meow over, and then instead of making out, they just watch a whole season of Family Guy.
Oh yeah, in the fucking Ciconia universe, they'd be like, I have some antique television to watch, and it's just the newest episodes of Family Guy that's from 200 years ago, and they're just analyzing it historically, like unpacking.
What does this say about the American
society? Just unpacking like all of the meaning, like how with Shakespeare plays we'd need to like analyze everything because like it'd be so incomprehensible to someone who doesn't have all the pop culture references that they'd see it as like this massive puzzle when it's just shit.
Yeah, Jaden like imagine Jaden like brings me out over. It's like, hey baby, I got something to show you, man. I got something to show you. Fucking pulls on Family Guy. It's like, Steve's today. It's like, if you see, and Jaden's like talking over like a severe breakdown of like the opening credits. We're like, okay, so let me break this down.
Yeah, that's gonna be the third data fragment in phase 2.
Okay, let's continue. We have plenty of go through. We haven't even got to Evo Meow yet.
Yeah, we need to hurry up.
So basically, like, the Kitsuna is really good for people who talk in different languages, since they allow people to speak in their native language, but instantly translate into like other things. And Kitsuna is also like has a lot of other functions, like basically is like what a smartphone could do, but even better, and it goes into like your mental display. Adult people have a harder time. They like having like a physical space to like leave these tech things on, but young people were able to basically run this on the background in their head all the time. So this phenomenon is basically referred to as like parallel processing, where basically like children with like a certain level of being able to process these things are called parallel processors, and they basically like so, and whatever, like, the abilities of a Gauntlet Knight is actually measured with how good they're at, like, doing this processing power. So it's called P3, so parallel processing power, so 3 Ps.
Yep.
So yeah, but, like, basically, basically they just train a bunch of children this way, and like, all, like, the people in the public bath are actually, like, the first generation of parallel processors, and, even though it's, like, very like forbidden to basically use your kitsuna during class, like during class or during your job, like people still do it like all the time, like they just can't like help. Yeah. And they basically just chat with each other even during missions. So they also like Kettle Poil's like mascot, and they like stickers. Is the cat still meowing outside? Did she stop meowing because I said that out loud? My headphones again. Sorry.
I still kind of don't really get how parallel processing started. Like were kids always able to do this, but they just haven't been able to? They just didn't know until now, or did it just happen one day, or was it like artificially added to kids?
I was gonna say, I feel like parallel processing is like something you do a lot when you're a kid, when you're just like trying to think of like 3 things at the same time, and I feel like it only lessens when, like, I guess, like, your mind used to be able to run, like, thousands of miles, like, per minute, but then now you're, like, older, then you can't really, you have to, like, focus on one thing. Like, so I think it's, like, more like that. Like, it's, like, in Ciconia's universe, like, people just tapped into that even more. Like, instead of being like, you have to focus, kid, you're just like, do 3 things at the same time. Multitasking was actually good.
Yeah, I think what I got from the story at least is that they first developed the Gauntlet Knight technology, and then they realized it was super hard to control if you could not multitask, and so every nation started I think this is what the story said. It said that it was added to the school system, like parallel processing training in every nation.
Okay.
And then they also play this game called Wayandora, which is basically like the Genshin Impact of their universe.
It's the gacha game with Ciconia.
Really? That's what you...
It's going to be something that Ryokishi releases for real, and people are going to be like, yes!
No, he won't do that, because that would be the rational thing to do, but Ryukishi is Japanese, and we all know that Japanese companies...
No, it'll just say Higurashi Mei is Wanyadora.
I guess.
Just do that.
But so do you envision Wanyadora as being a Genshin Impact like game? I imagined it was more like Candy Crush Saga, to be honest.
Oh, I was gonna say, I actually envision it more to be like a LOL type game.
What? Really? A MOBA? Okay, a MOBA that's pay to win. Okay, that's interesting.
Anyway, but I was gonna say, like, Wayandora is a concept that is mentioned by Ryukishi in every single piece of his work. He's even more consistent than our funny Okonogi man. So yeah, it is mentioned in Umineko, in like Higambana. Okay, so for example, I'm gonna explain this. So like, Wayandora was first referenced in Umineko as a basically a pet that Gertrude owns. So like and then like it's called like the Wanyons, like and then but also like something about like Wanyan used like made food for like Gertrude or something. Like that's like a really weird, like it's just like it's a name of a thing. And then in Higambana, so Wanyans are attached to the neck stumps of their body sprites. And because like you like the heads and bodies are like separate, so when you like take it apart, you could see stuff on it. I will post it in Data Archive. So so that's interesting. So it's like you can only see it if you decompile the game files. Yeah, and then in Rose Gun Days, Wanyan is referenced as a flavored drink. It's a Wanyan flavored drink. And then in Trianthology, this person has a Wanyan chained onto her rifle. And then in Iwahime, it was the first time that Wanyan Dora was mentioned as a game. And
Wiki says the title may be a reference to Puzzles and Dragons. Wait, so is the game in Ciconia, would it just be like a Puzzles and Dragons clone?
I don't know.
Maybe.
In Hotarubi, there's actually the character actually plays the game on his phone, like at various point in the manga, which is so weird that I never knew that. And then in Harem Royale, when the game ends, they also they also talk about how this is a game that's on their smartphone and tell somebody else to download it. So in Goen Sotsu in the anime,
it's the only time it's in Higurashi. Yeah, is in Goen Sotsu.
So yeah, there's actually
plushies and shit.
There's Wanyan plushies and there's a bunch of plushies. And then in the Go manga, they watch Mei Tante Wanyan, which is Mei Tante Conan. It's a reference to that. And then in Loopers, there's a game called Wanyan Geo. And I'm like, what the fuck? How did that even happen?
Wait, they changed the drama that Keiichi was watching in the end of the first arc of This Is Sad.
But anyway, Wanyans, and that is so fucking funny and weird. And so the idea is that the Wanyan is translated as Meow Wolf because Wan, Wang Wang, and then Nyang Nyang like the cat. But Dora, it comes from Doragon, dragon.
So it's a cat wolf dragon.
Kinda.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty funny because also Ryukishi it's Dragon Knight, So
yes, Dragon Knight 07, the creator of Cicada Season.
Okay, I'm looking at what the wiki says for gameplay features, and it says it's similar to gaching games, and it's PvP. How is Fire Emblem Heroes played?
It was not PvP. It was not PvP.
It was not PvP.
No.
What's a PvP gacha game? There's gotta be at least
fake games PvP.
I don't think so.
No. Kitsuna. So Kitsuna also means personal bonds, I guess, bonds between people. I think if you have watched Your Name, you remember how they talk about Kitsuna, and they talk about how the invisible red string, the kind of shit like that.
Yeah, it's also the name of the Higurashi DS port.
Yes, you've already made that joke.
I know, but I'm just making out. It's
the jokes only gets funnier the second time you make it, does.
I know. It's the name of the DS port. And also the name of those arcs that are exclusive to the DS
This is gonna become the birth of New Witch of this episode.
So yes, now we got to the part where we talk about they basically go to the open air portion of the public bath and they get to see, and outside of the public bath it's the glass sea. So this is very interesting. They could see the glass sea, and the glass sea was created during World War III during the effects of the solar warheads that annihilated the whole region of Japan between Gifu and Osaka, and then basically dividing the nation into two parts and leaving an ocean of glass. So, and one part goes to AOU and one part goes to CO.
Yeah.
And then after World War III, they decided that they will just seal off all information in regards to this. And now they just basically, nobody there actually knows what happened or understands why the sea was created. Even who participated in or the resolutions all were barred from people who even with very high clearance access.
It's a very interesting concept.
Naomi basically mentions why does humanity make the decision not to learn from their mistake, because that's how people usually do it. And Sujata?
No, yeah, I think you were saying it right. I think that's how you do it.
Suggests that then maybe they realized it was just pointless, and then they basically Gunhild says winners write histories, and humans interpret history whatever way they want, and basically if we just go back and read what the old history is about, then it would just add fuel to new conflicts. And reaching to this cause of the war meant preventing future wars to inevitably cause up because of this. And I think that's a very fascinating way. So the human made a radical decision on not recording history, or this history specifically. And even finding out what happens becomes a crime.
Yeah.
And then Jaden and Miyao tells each other that even if they had such a knowledge, they like the details of the war has nothing to do with them. They will not stand in their way of their friendship, you know, like all that gay shit that people say before they go into wars. And then basically, like, all the Gauntlet Knights, like, yeah, like, you know, like, past mistakes has nothing to do with me. Like, you know, we are a new generation of people. And then basically, Gunhild is the one basically kind of pours on their, like, happy, like, everybody's best friends flame. Gunhild tells them that, like, maybe what the glass seed actually represents is the knowledge that if people all around the world becomes friends, then, you know, a terrifying ocean like this will never exist. You know, which is an interestingly comforting thought when you're standing on, like, I guess, like, millions of bodies that were, like, annihilated.
Yeah.
Encased in a glass sea.
Now that you mention it, I've been thinking about this for some time, but now that you mention it again, it makes more sense. Even earlier in the episode, we mentioned how Gunhild is so much more mature than everyone else. And there's like this bit of text that I noticed even on my first read through during the part that we covered last episode, where Meow just says that, you know how like Meow just says like, oh, Gunhild, you almost talk like an old granny. That just kind of makes me think that maybe Gunhild actually was there for the Glass Sea incident, and she's just she feels it, like she has that experience firsthand.
We hardly do we see any characters in like quote unquote real life outside like, because like that could be like the way that we see her.
Yeah.
Avatar.
No, but we do see her IRL. Like at least Meow, at least the two of them do see her IRL.
Yeah, I mean we'll get there. I also like the concept of the glass sea because it makes a lot of sense that in like high temperature, like sand turns into glass. Mm-hmm. And the concept of a glass sea is like so like mortifying but also beautiful. Like calling something like it's such a weird thing to be like glass but like also slightly clear, and it like encases like history.
Yeah. Anyway, and it's really scary because it's like super destructive, just like a nuclear bomb, except it doesn't have the global effects of a nuclear bomb. So theoretically, in our day and age, some nation like America could build a massive magnifying glass, send it to space, and just annihilate like a country. Like, it's just kind of scary, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, the current reality we live in is pretty scary as well, you know. It's a good time. It's a good time to be alive.
Yeah, one day Elon Musk will be like, we don't need telescopes, we just need a magnifying glass to look into the sun, and then we'll all die.
Then he smiles at the camera evilly.
Yeah. Yeah, and that'd be the quote of the next phase 2. One of the chapters. We don't need an
and then so now we finally basically get to the part where the combatants tells each other that they won't kill each other, and they decided that they decided a public bath oath where they basically will swear that they would basically be friends forever, or not forever, but basically they're going to be the people who supports a wall of peace, you know. I think it's a very sweet beginning.
Yes.
And now suddenly this is when Evil Meow starts. So, Des, what do you want to say before Evil Meow? Okay,
so before Boo Meow, I just wanted to tie back to my theory on the previous episodes. Remember how I said that, like, Koshka... I'm just gonna keep bringing up arguments throughout this series. So, do you remember how I said Koshka was, like, the processor keeping the world alive and you needed to keep Koshka entertained? So, like...
Oh, sure.
Everything in this scene is, like, imagine, like, everyone... I know this sounds far-fetched as shit, but so like, what if everyone is just trying to entertain Koshka even in this meeting, and that is why Noor and Mariana's and Ganet's dynamic is so fucking forced, is because they're just bad at it. Because like, even not only is it forced,
I
they
honestly
also
really hate.
not only is it forced, they also just keep repeating the same lines. Like they repeat. Hands off. They repeat hands off so many times. It feels like they just memorize the script and cannot go out of it because they're just so bad at it. And then like when Naima says she's going she's gonna look for a nude avatar, she's the only one who manages to catch Koshka's attention to keep her entertained. And then Lilia, who we know is playing a role, she just goes along with it and says that she'll help Koshka. it just feels kind of like the pieces are all falling into place, but that may also be me being biased and looking for answers where there are none. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I still think your Suzumiya Haruhi theory is not as cool as you think it is, but we're gonna continue.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was a weird part of last episode.
It's still going. It's still going. The horse cam. It's never stopping at this
It
point.
will
I've
never
just
stop.
tuned out Des's wild theories at this point to the point where like.
Did you fucking mute me on your Kizuna?
No, it's more like it's just your theories. Like whenever I hear you speak about your theories, my brain just goes, "Oh, it's nonsense." All right, time to focus on something else.
You are
Okay,
parallel
that's-
processing on him.
Okay, Des. As much as I think your ideas are fun, I do have to say I am not very subscribed to your theory. But you are always welcome to bring it up again and again.
I
so-
will.
Yes, one day you'll
Yes, okay.
convert us. One day.
Or one day you'll realize how embarrassing it is, and then you can stop thinking about all the times that you stopped in the middle of reading Fata Morgana to write me fanfiction, and then get really mad that Fata Morgana isn't subscribed to your fanfiction.
Okay, make a calendar gate tier stupid fucking theory.
But it's just Des. It's like
I mean,
it's the Des
I think
iceberg.
any conversation where Des is talking about his theories for about a book, anything he reads is on level with Calendar Gate. I'm really sorry, Des. But
That's a compliment.
your theories are really out there.
Me and Sayome trying to think of the stupidest but still plausible crack theory is on the same tier as Des just thinking.
Yeah,
Wow, thank you so very much.
yeah.
Okay, so
We love you, Des.
We love you.
yeah, Des is great.
Sure
10
you
out of
do.
10. Very good.
Des is gonna be crying as he dies.
So suddenly the screen is torn through in the center, and you get to see like this weird greenish, bluish, like matrixy background. Another Meow shows up, hence referred as Meow, like as in like it's all
Yeah,
caps.
on the wiki it says Meow.
Well, it's because basically it's all caps Meow. So how would we want to like distinguish? Like, should we call it like
Blue Meow.
Blue Meow?
I called them Blue
Yeah, me
Meow.
too.
Okay, Blue Meow. So then basically Blue Meow like mocks like Meow's naivete and tells that Meow will one day be the one who's doing all the killing. Ask like Meow like, yo, who would you kill? And Meow is like just like, what the fuck? Like he basically tries to like stop paying attention to like Blue Meow and trying to look at Lingji and Koshika,
Mm-hmm.
who are basically talking about Wanyandora with him, and then basically like Blue Meow is like, yes, you're looking at Lingji and Koshika, you're gonna kill them with your hand, and you're gonna destroy everything, and then like, and that's the reason why you were created in the first place, to become a Gauntlet Knight was only just to like mere goal, like just a stone that you pass on your way to like total destruction. So Blue Meow tells Meow that like, you know, like I am just one of the many selves, like we are one but we are many.
I am one yet many.
I am the heart. Thou art I art thou. I am the shadow of the true self.
So Meow basically rejects all these images that he shows as illusions, but Blue Meow tells him that like a future guaranteed by his existence. Like if I show up, the future is going to happen. And he basically offers Meow a way to prevent this future, is that you just have to disappear. And basically, like, Blue Meow tells him, like, oh, all of your background details about your biological things are just, like, backstory. Like, these are all just written. You're only a program written to be destruct, and you're only given the name.
So it's just Blue Meow, just Ryu Kishi. Just being like, it's basically like the writer being like, oh yeah, I'm just telling you the end of the story. You know?
You don't exist. You're just a thing that was made by me, or made by somebody as for this. Now we get to the end where Valentina and Americaman comes into the room, and Valentina basically is like has this, the reason why she's also late is because she has the same translation error that Chloe did. And then Marikama makes the exact same joke about, oh, you used the word lust. because they entered so late, they basically get like barraged by a bunch of friend requests, and they introduce themselves, and they call like, and Marikamen tells them that they can call her Mari.
In the first version it was Marika, but then it got changed because Marika is like a swear word against homosexuals. Yeah. So Ryukishi obviously didn't know that because that's a very specific romantic language thing.
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of very interesting translation differences. So I think for example, Shavitz, they used to have a different name, like when the first trailer came out, and then so they actually changed their name because it didn't make sense in the first translation version. Like people sent him to be like, oh, that doesn't really work. The Marikamen one is also another translation difference, which I also think it's a very good way to like incorporate like really realistic way of like speaking about it.
Yeah, and also an example of good fan feedback.
Yeah, exactly. So now like we're finally at chapter 4, parallel processor, and then it starts with a new quote. It says, "The pieces have been gathered, the pieces have been lined up. Our opponent isn't here yet. Perfect." And it's by the King of Sorrow, so it's one of those weird dudes and they're Illuminati.
Yeah, they're just essentially just an Umineko quote. Like I feel like that would like if I read that in Umineko, would be like, okay, that's fine, that's a fine quote. Like I would like if someone like Burn or Lambda said that, I'd be like, okay.
Now you get to basically see like a regular Gauntlet Knight training, and like you get to see Meow goes off, like unloads onto Jaden in his lecture mode, and then like basically telling him like you did this and this and this wrong, and like being very critical, but he's also just a short king and he comes off kind of tsundere-ish, you know. And then
this one just Meow has a gay crush on Jaden.
I think it's mostly the other way around, to be honest.
Or no, it's Jaden has a straight crush on Meow.
No, he has a straight crush on Meow and has a gay crush on Meow.
Crush on Meow. Yes, that's also true. Okay. Okunogi catches them and starts scolding them, and Gauntlet Knights just like talk to each other. Chloe just like starts blurting out random ass shit because she's like so freaked out by getting yelled at by Okunogi that she just like yells out her thoughts in her speech. And then in a phenomenon, then there's that self-destruction, and Okunogi's like, you dumb child, and then like bonks her and then tells them to double down on their training.
Yeah. Coming back to what Horsecam was saying, and I think we also brought this up on previous episode. Horsecam was saying like about where in like actual geographic IRL places every character was throughout the story, like when we talked about Gunhild, I think. Like in this part, do you think I think we should keep our eyes out every time characters interact, supposedly IRL, going forward. Mm-hmm. But in this part, supposedly, do you think Koshka and Lilia and Chloe are still like visiting Japan, or do you think they have already gone back to where they usually are?
I don't. This is gonna be spoilers for a little part of the
That's
story.
fine.
I don't think Koshka or Lilia are actually there because
But that would mean Okonogi also doesn't permanently live in AOU Japan, because Okonogi is physically with Chloe.
Well, Chloe is there, but I don't think because I don't know if like Koshka has a physical form, because there's like she's like the experiment, right?
No, what? Then how would everybody see her in the Battle Standards Festival?
I don't know.
She has a physical body.
The battle standard form happens only
in
VR.
The battle happens in VR, but don't you remember? They like kind of like just walk through the field at the start. Like there were even all of those shots, like when all the characters are introduced. I think that was IRL. It could not have been IRL. That is also possible.
I mean, I think that's like, I think we have to like really debate about this, but I think this is there in AOU Japan, and I don't think you don't get to see Koshka, and right now we haven't seen Koshka and Lilia in AOU Japan yet. We'll see if that
Whoa,
changes.
really? So you don't, because like in the part we
I'm not sure,
because I'm asking like, because we know they have been in AOU Japan, because in the part we covered previously, there's this line about how they are equipment being lent to AOU Japan for the Battle Standards Festival. Okay. I just remembered something. Like all of the, like at least the AOU cats have to be there in person, because right before all the athletes arrive and are shown to the public, Okonogi is shown with all of the 6 AOU Gauntlet Knights, so they have to be there physically. Because Okonogi can't do that shit.
Yeah, but I thought you were gonna say everybody's a Matrix. Just kidding. Well, we'll continue. I think maybe they do have a physical body. We'll have to see.
Okay.
So, after basically they training, they just like all of them just like meets up at the public bath again to basically hang out and complain about Okonogi. Now this location just becomes like an international gathering spots for all the participants, which are now friends now. And because they are good at their parallel processing power, they just get to like talk shit about people while like also being like doing other things. So basically you also learn the fact that there's developments of new drugs that basically eliminates the need of sleeping, which basically renders the concept of time zone meaningless. So you could just get to be online all the fucking time.
That's so fucking interesting. Like, I wish that was a thing. Like, even though, like, as they say, your brain doesn't rest, but even so, that would be so fucking helpful.
Yeah. I think it also mentions in, like, while they are talking about it, they're like, there's good things and bad reasons why it's, like, these new drugs just means you can work people even harder. Like, it's just, like,
yeah.
And how, like, it's just, like, still takes a toll on your body and so on and so forth. But yes, so, basically, in the shopping district, Jaden is just, like, wandering around because he's just, like, in this shopping district that never sleeps now because, you know, everybody don't sleep, so it's
he's a sad boy going out at night by himself.
So yeah, it's 24 hours. So as he wanders, he basically like thinks about how Meow lectures him and Meow himself, and
basically how much he has a crush on Meow.
Jaden is running away from his gay thoughts. It's like, you can't catch me, gay thoughts.
No.
And then Meow basically is the only person that like outmatches him as a Gauntlet Knight, and he just thinks about it all the way. And he and how like Okonogi actually showed up to interrupt in Meow's lecture. So now like because like usually Meow lectures him and then gives him compliments, but because Okonogi has showed up too early, he didn't get the compliments, and now he's sad.
He didn't get his like he didn't get his flirts in.
So then Jaden basically think about like, you know, like I'm thinking about Meow too much now. I should probably stop thinking about Meow. And then so he decides to go play games. Kitsuna basically are used like everywhere and like all the time, and you can basically log in it with like anything. But he decided to turn his Kitsuna off because, you know, he's a sad boy. He wants some alone time.
Some time off the
He's
internet.
a sad boy having gay thoughts and wants to fucking not think about it.
He decided to play this like Gauntlet Knight game, and then he got really good. And then once he like played a bunch of the game, he feels like super happy. And then he turns his Kitsuna on, and then he realizes just get bombarded by a bunch of messages. And then he also realized that he receives a notification that a friend's nearby. And then he just like starts looking around, and then he noticed a person that looks like Meow leaving the back door. So he just like basically chases this person around for a long ass time, just like trying to corner them. And when they finally grab this person's arm, they look at this person's face and their body, and it looks like, oh, they have to be Meow. Like, I know what Meow looks like. But it also feels like this person is like completely different. And when he asked like, oh, are you Meow? And then his question was like, it was like, no, I'm not Meow. So they decided to go to like this cafe, like this restaurant together. He started thinking about this whole thing, which is called the CPP, which is cognitive parallel processors. CPP are people basically are born with multiple consciousness. I guess like in our modern day time, we would call that like people with a dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah, DID.
I was gonna say, I don't understand why that thing is called congenital parallel processing power, or whatever it's called. Like, what I don't understand is the use of the word congenital, because that means it comes from you when you already have that when you are born. It's mostly used for congenital diseases, which is a disease that you are born with. But the text literally says that that different personalities, something you develop as a result of parallel processing training. So is it congenital, or do you acquire it with the parallel processing training? Like,
no.
Ciconia,
No. It says, okay, let me explain that. He says the people who have congenital parallel processors, they're the people who are born with multiple consciousness. Like, not everybody who is really high in P3 has multiple personalities in them. Like,
what?
Does that make sense what I just said? Like,
no, sorry.
It's like, you like, as in like,
yeah.
I think what they're trying to say is that like Jaden thinks he doesn't have CPP because he's just really good at parallel processing, which is like as in you don't have to have multiple persons in you to be good at parallel processing, but if you do, it just makes it so much more easy.
It's like a mecha team, like when you need one like a giant robot, but with a person's mind.
No, yeah, I get
you
that.
have one personality that's like the main driver, and the other ones are just auxiliary personalities that do their own thing.
Yeah.
So I guess the congenital thing, it's just you are born with the ability to eventually develop those different personalities.
No, you're just born with multiple consciousness. Like
then what does the then what do they mean when they say the different personalities arise as a product of the parallel processing training? Because the story says that
train to have more consciousness, but these people are just born with it. Like I'm pretty sure Naima was like pushed into it because of I think not Naima. I think like isn't Naomi was the person who actually like they gave her a bunch of drugs and like fucked her up and like
I don't recall.
Like I think you could read it in her file or something, but I think a good way of thinking about maybe congenital in English,
innate,
yes, innate will be a better.
Yeah, because that's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at when I highlighted with the dictionary thing. I have.
Yeah, so like it's something that like it's just something that comes more easy to a person than the other. Like if like
that makes more sense.
With. Like it's maybe congenital is like you think about like, oh, my birthmark is like congenital thing or like, you know, but it's like it's more like my birthmark is congenital to me because it would develop on my body when I'm like 12 or something. You know, I don't know.
That makes more sense. Thinking about it as innate, it was just a poor choice of words.
Yeah.
I mean, I say congenital processing power does sound cooler.
Because like IPP would not make sense. Hey, it's IPP. It's a CPP.
Well, it makes sense. Really? It makes. Well, how does what the fuck, Marscam? How does IPP not make sense, but CPP makes sense?
Okay,
Literally just the same thing.
Anyway,
I think CPP looks cooler. Okay. I follow the rule of cool, Des. I put on my sunglasses.
Okay, you follow.
And
I follow the rule of semantics.
I think congenital like makes more sense because it makes you think of like congenital twin, which is kind of what they are.
Oh, that's a very interesting way of thinking about it.
But that twin isn't congenital. It is born when you train for parallel processing.
But like not everybody gets to have it. Like it's not like everybody who's born with.
Yeah, it's not about whether you can or not. It's about when you develop that twin. It's not during your genesis. It's not congenital. It's after birth. It's when you train. Talking about the percentage of people who are CPPs, I fucking love that the story tells you that it's like 30%, but then another study says it's 60%, because that's something that consistently pisses me off every time I have to make an essay or answer a question in an exam, because for some fucking reason my teachers only accept one answer, even though there's like 30 different studies with different answers, and it just pisses me the fuck off. So thank you, Rikishi, for acknowledging that.
Yeah, yeah. Just on a side note, Des studies medical things. That's why he knows. Basically, Jaden gets really embarrassed, and he's like, maybe I'm being really insensitive, and he's like, I used to be really like a jerk about this, and he didn't really understand it when he was in school, because like coming out as CPP is like coming out as gay. Just kidding, but basically, like he just
wow.
Or no, actually, coming out as CPP is like coming out as trans. That's the actual connection.
Society hasn't progressed ever since today's age up until A3W.
Yeah, so basically he was just like he realized that he wasn't really sensitive about it, and he feels really bad, so he kind of just like he's like, oh, I'm gonna make an effort to be really nice to like treat his friend right. He's like, so he asked about this person's name and their gender identity, and they replied that their name is Meow. Like it's like Meow, instead of Meow is Meow.
Meow like a cat.
Meow like a cat, exactly. So Meow apologized for running away from Jaden and not telling him about.
How are they written in Japanese? Actually, I'm curious.
Katakana.
Is it written like the sound meow, or like written like out like meow?
Meow is written as the kanji.
Meow is written in katakana. I looked at it.
So basically, Meow apologized for running away, and basically, like, she also tells Jaden that like, she's a girl, and she tells him not to worry that much about, like, being, like, appropriate, like, being really, like, PC or, like, being appropriate. She tells Jaden that, like, basically, like, I know who you are and I see you all the time because I can see you through Meow. So Meow is the main personality, and Meow often is hidden away. Two of them basically have, like, more like a sibling relationship, and although, like, other CPP personality people depends on the relation, like, on the person, like, so, and then Meow would put on makeup to, like, spend, like, time on, like, during the night day, where, like, Meow basically, like, and basically far away from anywhere Meow usually goes. So, like, so she could enjoy herself and reducing the chance that anybody who's, like, who like, knows Meow to see him.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically, like, and then Jaden is like, oh, milady, do you need a bodyguard?
I was like, oh my god, my friend has a female personality. My friend that I have a gay crush on has a female personality. Yes, I'm justified.
Jaden is just like one of those people shit posting in 4chan's LGBT form of, like, guys, I really like my friend, but I'm not gay. How do I make him trans?
Oh my god, that's awful.
Oh, we're sorry for you folks out there.
I was just gonna say, Meow and Meow's the sibling pair. They like, I like that both of them try their best to try to let the other personality live, like, their life, because, like, Meow and also try to find a way to have time for sleep. Like, I just think it's wholesome that they try to let each other live.
Yeah, like, I think, like, it's really fun, and also I just, like, love the idea that, like, and it comes up later, but they says, like, Meow doesn't want to, like, train their body too hard because he doesn't want Meow to feel like uncomfortable in, like, his body. And I think that's really fascinating. But yeah, so in the end, they basically walk home together, and Meow tells Jaden that she wants to go to the back secretly to, like hiding her identity, and Jaden's like, oh, maybe, like you're my girlfriend, and like, not like, he's like, girl
JK and Wes.
Yeah, JK and Liz. He's like, girlfriend, and then instead of, like, translating into girlfriend, it makes him like, like, girlfriend, and then they're like, blush. And then basically in the end, like, Meow just says, like, oh, even if technology is advanced so far, communication is still made up as much more than just words. And it's like, oh, like, like, our body languages, our emotions, and, like, and the setting we are living in, and how, like, that is, like, really hard to translate, and how that this is a complaint made by often by, like, older generations. And then, like, they feel the electricity, like, the electronic world, and the communication barrier is broken down by, like, the technology wall. And they, like, but they still feel, like, really embarrassed just to have any, like, face-to-face interaction. So yeah, that covers only 2 fucking chapters. We're fucked, but...
And I feel like Ciconia's prose is supposed to be written from the perspective of someone in the universe. But I can't really think of who would be. I just get the sense that, like, at least, like, some of the, like, just prose monologues, or, like, the political messages in the monologues are supposed to be from the perspective of a different narrator and not just the author.
Yeah, I think so too. Because even when they were in the meeting, in the Internet public path, there was this point in the narration where the narration just says, to be honest, everyone in that room didn't want to get into political stuff or some shit. But, like, the narration literally said, to be honest. And that's just something that does not usually happen in narration. So that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Also, for, like, the political messages, I feel like they're supposed to be from the perspective of a character, because Ciconia's I don't think I need to say that Ciconia is a pretty anti-military story, but the prose has, like, pro-military messages, like, everyone tried to get rid of the military, and they're all just cucks who don't want to deal with the necessary things. Like, you don't put that message earnestly in a story where you write everything else about the plot.
Oh, that's an interesting way to think about it.
And then another detail I noticed was that when Jaden is chasing Meow, right? Jaden is shouting at Meow, who has her Kizuna turned off. And then Jaden catches up to Meow, and they start speaking. So either Meow knows English or Jaden knows Japanese.
No, they don't. They don't know English or Japanese. They use a translation
Then how are
device.
they speaking? No, Meow has her Kizuna turned off, remember? Like, she must have turned it on again later, because they do talk about Kizuna when they are going back to their quarters. But at that moment, she doesn't have her Kizuna on. That's why Jaden can't contact her. And why, like, don't you remember that Meow turned her Kizuna off when Jaden turned his on?
But I mean, I think she probably turned it on at the moment when he caught up with her. And they didn't say anything. He just says, "Are you Meow?" And then she just says, she shake their head. And then they go to a restaurant. I imagine when they're on their way to the restaurant, they just turn it on.
But do you think a story written by Ryukishi, who is so keen about details, would forget to just add the line there where it just says a friend is nearby whenever Meow turned it on again? Because, like, maybe in a scene that's not shown, she could have turned it on again, but, like, there's no interruptions there. I think that's a detail. Like, I think that's important. That's not just something he forgot to add there or something.
Interesting.
And then my closing thought is just that I was gonna talk about how Jaden is so fucking weird that he's just grabbed the kid and led them inside the store just to talk with them after chasing them down. And the narration even says he took the kid into a nearby store and sat them down. And I was gonna say, but then I think I have been converted to Jadenism, because I was just thinking, like, man, Jaden is really fucking cringe when he's doing weird shit like this. But then also he doesn't understand he's being problematic and cringe. But when he does, he tries his best to better himself.
Oh my god, Death? Did I hear you right? You are a Jaden fan now?
Yes.
Are you?
It's fine, Des. You're gonna immediately stop being a Jaden fan once you get to that scene again. It's fine.
We'll see how it goes.
Jaden is best.
We'll
and
see
I
how
will
it
defend
goes.
Jaden if any of you fucking try throwing hands at him, okay? Jaden is my boy. He's my boy.
He is your boy. You have defended him ever since the beginning.
We have to show the picture that you drew for him for Valentine's. That's just him.
Yeah, I read Ciconia first, fell in love with Jaden, and now Jaden's my boy. Jaden's my boy. That is true. I think I was the first one in the server to read Ciconia.
Yeah, you were.
Des read it shortly after I did.
And then said he didn't like it. Dun dun dun.
No, I like Ciconia. I just didn't like certain aspects of it. One of which was Jaden. Very much so.
Okay.
But well, anyway, that's the end of my thoughts.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening in for our second episode of Ciconia. I'm so sorry if we spent a lot of time debating about how words is pronounced or going on incredible weird tangents. I hope whoever is editing this episode, maybe it will be me, maybe it'll be Des, will be able to mercilessly cut down a lot. So it wouldn't be 2 hours. So
yay!
I guess I still haven't thought of anything very cool to say. So I would just say we're going to uphold the wall of peace, and all in the name of humanity, right?
Always in the name of finishing the data archive before phase 2 comes out.
Always in the name of guiding humanity down the right path.
Yes. Okay.
Guiding our audience down the base path.
Base path. Yes. I feel like exactly. We're gonna be very base and red pilled. So yeah,
everything is in the name of
yet.
Making everyone in this show subscribe to the Haruhi Koshka theory.
No,
I think it's horrible. Haruhi Koshka theory is so bad that it makes my skin crawl.